The sound of a gun cocking cut through the air like a blade. "Don't move, girl," Officer Randall barked, his voice rough with arrogance and fear. His hand trembled slightly, but the smirk on his face hid it well. In the middle of the polished store floor, under the cold fluorescent light, stood a teenage girl, about 16, her brown skin glowing against the sterile white aisles of the upscale boutique. She froze, eyes wide, heart pounding so hard she thought everyone could hear it. Her name was Naomi Jenkins. A small silver bracelet glittered on the ground between them. "That's mine," Amara said softly, her voice shaking but clear. "It fell when—" "Shut your mouth," the cop snapped, stepping closer, boots echoing sharply. Customers watched in horror from behind clothes racks. Some raised their phones, whispering, "Oh my God, he's pulling a gun on a kid." Amara's lips trembled. "I didn't steal anything." Officer Randall leaned in, close enough for her to smell the stale coffee on his breath. "You think your fake tears are gonna fool me? I saw you pocket that bracelet. You people are all the same." The words "you people" sliced through the air. The store manager, a nervous white woman in her 30s, wrung her hands. "Officer, maybe we should." He cut her off. "Back off, ma'am. I know a thief when I see one." Amara's hands shook as she reached for her phone. "Please, I just need to call my mom." "Drop it," he barked, gun raising an inch higher. In that frozen moment, the automatic doors of the store slid open with a hiss, and in walked a tall, confident black woman in a dark suit. Her presence shifted the entire room. Her hair was neatly braided, her badge clipped to her hip, and her calm, yet commanding voice cut through the chaos like thunder. "Puh." The store went pitch black. The only sound was the panicked shuffle of feet and someone screaming, "Turn on the lights." Naomi instinctively pushed Amara to the ground behind a counter. "Stay down," she whispered, her voice sharp but controlled. Her hand went to her holster. She was armed, as always. Then pop. A single gunshot cracked through the darkness. Glass shattered somewhere near the front entrance. "Everybody down," Naomi barked, but her FBI voice was swallowed by the chaos of terrified shoppers scrambling for cover. Amara's breathing grew rapid. "Mom, what's happening?" Naomi crouched beside her. "Quiet, baby. Don't move." Her mind was racing. A power outage and a gunshot. Too precise, too sudden to be random. Harrison's words echoed in her mind. "Your girl stumbled onto more than just a bracelet today." The emergency lights flickered back on, bathing the store in an eerie red glow. Harrison was gone. The front window was shattered. Officer Randall sat slumped against a display case, clutching his shoulder, bleeding. "Officer down," someone shouted. Naomi rushed over, gun drawn. Randall's eyes were wild, filled with pain and confusion. It wasn't me." Someone fired from outside. Naomi scanned the window. Tire marks streaked across the wet pavement outside. Whoever had fired the shot was already gone. "Mom." Amara's voice quivered from behind the counter. "Why did that man say I stumbled onto something?" Naomi turned slowly, holstering her weapon. "Because he's hiding something. And now, we're in the middle of it." She crouched to meet her daughter's eyes. "I need you to tell me exactly what happened before I got here." Amara's mind raced. "I was just looking at bracelets. But when I went to the counter, a man in a black hoodie walked past me. He dropped something shiny, like a flash drive, but I didn't pick it up. The store alarm went off right after that, and that cop came in shouting." Naomi froze. "A flash drive?" Amara nodded. "I think it fell near the register." Naomi's instincts kicked in. She moved fast, scanning the floor around the jewelry counter. Within seconds, she found it, a small black USB drive wedged beneath a shelf. She pocketed it discreetly before anyone noticed. Randall groaned. "I didn't see no flash drive. All I saw was her holding jewelry and—" Naomi cut him off. "You saw what you wanted to see." Then her tone softened, though her eyes remained sharp. "But right now, you're bleeding. You need medical attention." Paramedics burst through the front doors moments later. The scene filled with flashing lights, murmurs, and police chatter. Naomi knew it was only a matter of time before questions started, and she wasn't ready to answer. The pounding of boots echoed behind them as Naomi and Amara sprinted through the dimly lit corridor. Alarms wailed throughout the FBI building, and the sound of shattering glass made the air vibrate with chaos. Naomi's instinct screamed, "They've breached security. This isn't a warning, it's an ambush." "Keep your head down, baby," Naomi whispered, gripping her daughter's hand tighter as they dashed through a service tunnel. The flickering lights cast jagged shadows on the concrete walls. "Mom, who are these people?" Amara gasped, her voice cracking from fear. Naomi didn't answer immediately. She was calculating, scanning for cameras, traps, any sign they were being tracked. When she finally spoke, her tone was low, deliberate. "They're part of something buried deep inside the bureau. Something even I wasn't supposed to see." They reached a locked steel door marked, "Authorized personnel only." Naomi swiped her ID card, praying the power hadn't fully cut out. A green light blinked, and the door slid open. They slipped into a maintenance corridor filled with humming pipes and the distant drip of water. The faint smell of oil filled the air. Naomi stopped long enough to catch her breath and look her daughter in the eyes. "Listen to me carefully," she said. "Whatever's on that flash drive, it's not just about corruption. It's bigger. If Harrison wanted it destroyed, it means someone high up is scared of what it reveals." Amara swallowed hard. "So they came after me because I saw it?" Naomi nodded grimly. "You were in the wrong place at the wrong time." A metallic clang echoed from behind them. Naomi spun around, gun raised. The flashlight beam from her weapon danced across the walls until it landed on something that made her heart drop. Footprints. Fresh. Wet. "They're tracking us," she whispered. They moved again, faster this time, winding through the tunnels until they emerged behind the building where Naomi's unmarked SUV waited. She shoved Amara inside and started the engine. The roar of pursuit vehicles filled the distance, black SUVs with tinted windows, no license plates. Naomi's training kicked in. She slammed the accelerator and shot out of the parking lot, tires screeching. Amara clutched the door handle. "Mom, we're being followed." "I see them," Naomi said, glancing in the rearview mirror. "Hold on." She cut across a side street, weaving between traffic. Horns blared as she took a sharp turn into a narrow alleyway. The SUVs followed, engines growling like predators. One of them rammed her rear bumper. The impact jolted them both forward. Naomi gritted her teeth. "They want us alive. If they wanted us dead, we'd already be gone." The alley opened onto a big... The night was cold and silent, the kind that swallows sound and hides danger in every shadow. Naomi and Amara crouched behind a broken-down bus in an abandoned lot, their breaths visible in the faint glow of distant streetlights. Naomi's mind raced. Every instinct she'd sharpened over years in the bureau screamed that the situation was spiraling beyond control. Harrison's network ran deep, and now Project Reborn wasn't just a file name. It was a threat with her daughter's name written all over it. Amara hugged her knees, trembling. "Mom, are we fugitives now?" Naomi looked at her, her eyes filled with fear and confusion, but also the same fire that had driven Naomi her entire career. "No," she said firmly. "We're survivors. There's a difference." Amara managed a small, nervous laugh, but it faded quickly. "You always said the truth can't stay buried forever. Is this what you meant?" Naomi hesitated. "Yes, and sometimes the people who dig it up get buried with it." A low rumble broke the silence, the distant growl of engines. Naomi peeked over the bus. 3 black SUVs were sweeping the nearby streets, their high beams cutting through the dark like searchlights. She turned to Amara. "We can't stay here. There's a safe house a few blocks away. Old bureau property. No digital trail, no tracking devices. We'll regroup there." They moved quietly through back alleys, avoiding main roads. Every rustle of wind made Amara flinch. Every barking dog sounded like an alarm. Naomi stayed alert, her weapon drawn but low, her eyes scanning every corner. After 10 tense minutes, they reached the safe house, an unassuming, run-down home with boarded windows. Naomi unlocked it with an old physical key and ushered Amara inside. The air smelled of dust and old wood. Naomi flicked a switch. A dim lamp came on. "Stay close," she said, setting her decryptor on a table. "We'll find answers here." Amara sat quietly as Naomi worked, typing rapid commands to recover what she could from the corrupted flash drive. Lines of code filled the small screen. Then, slowly, an image began to materialize, a diagram labeled Project Reborn, Genetic Memory Retrieval Program. Naomi leaned closer. This isn't a corruption case. It's human experimentation. The document showed blueprints, medical charts, and DNA profiles, hundreds of names, each tagged with a code. Many of them were from minority neighborhoods. Her voice dropped. They've been using surveillance and field data to identify kids with exceptional cognitive abilities, mostly Black children, testing them under the guise of school enrichment programs, but really, it's about control. Amara's voice cracked. "So, I was just one of their test subjects." Naomi's chest tightened.
No.
"You were their key. You have what they were trying to replicate, perfect memory. That's why Harrison was watching you." Before Naomi could explain further, her decryptor beeped again. A new message flashed across the screen. "Project Reborn. Phase 2 activated. Target relocation initiated." Naomi's eyes widened. "They're tracking us through secondary networks. They've moved faster than I thought." The safe house phone rang suddenly, shrill and startling. Naomi froze. The only people who knew this number were retired agents and her late husband. She picked up cautiously. "Hello." A distorted voice replied, male, calm, deliberate. "You've done well finding the truth, Agent Jenkins. But you've gone too far. Bring us the drive, and we'll let your daughter..." Rain poured down like sheets of glass, drenching the narrow streets as Naomi and Amara slipped through the back alleys of Washington, D.C. The city that once represented order and justice now felt like a hunting ground. Every siren, every passing light made them flinch. Naomi's coat was soaked, her hair clinging to her face. Her mind ran through every name she could trust, but in her world, trust was a dangerous luxury. Amara struggled to keep up. "Mom, where are we going?" "To someone who owes me a favor," Naomi replied, glancing over her shoulder. "A man who knows how to disappear people." "Disappear people?" Amara's voice cracked. "Don't worry," Naomi said, softening her tone. "He's one of the good ones, mostly." They reached an old mechanic's garage on the city's south side. The paint was peeling, the windows fogged with grime. Naomi knocked 3 times, paused, then knocked twice more, a rhythm only one person would recognize. A few seconds later, the metal door creaked open. A tall man with a thick beard and kind but wary eyes stood there. His name was Marcus Reed, a former intelligence analyst turned whistleblower, one of the few people Naomi once trusted with her life. He stared at Naomi in shock. "Jenkins? You look like hell." Naomi managed a faint smile. "You should see the other guys." Marcus stepped aside. "Get in, quick." Inside, the garage smelled of oil and rust, but it was stocked with computers, communication gear, and enough canned food to last months. Marcus led them to a small office at the back. Amara looked around, impressed despite her fear. "You live here?" Marcus chuckled. "Off the grid, kid. It's the only safe place left when the government decides you're inconvenient." Naomi wasted no time. She pulled out the decryptor and set it on the table. "Marcus, I need your help. This drive, it's tied to something called Project Reborn. I barely scratched the surface before we were attacked." Marcus's face darkened. "Reborn?" He sat back, rubbing his beard. "I've heard whispers. It's an old military AI hybrid initiative abandoned years ago, or so they claimed, meant to create perfect agents by mapping human cognitive patterns and memory sequences. But it never worked." Naomi shook her head. "They restarted it, and they're targeting kids. My daughter's name is on the list." Marcus frowned deeply, then leaned toward Amara. "What's special about you, kid?" Amara looked down. I remember everything. Like everything I see, read, or hear. Mom says it's called eidetic memory. Marcus let out a low whistle. Then you're the holy grail for a program like that. Naomi nodded grimly. They want to replicate her mind, train artificial agents using her brain's pattern recognition. If they succeed, they'll have a network of synthetic operatives that can think like humans but obey without question. Marcus turned to his computer. Give me an hour. I'll dig deeper. While he worked, Naomi and Amara finally sat in silence. The sound of the rain tapping against the windows was oddly soothing. Mom, Amara whispered, what if they already copied my mind? What if it's too late? Naomi reached over and took her hand. Then we make sure they never use it. You hear me? Never. An hour later, Marcus swiveled his chair around. His face was pale. You need to see this. On his monitor was a classified schematic, a digital lab hidden under a private biotech firm called Genesis Core. The map showed multiple containment rooms and an ominous label. Phase 3. The rain had stopped, but the silence that followed was heavier than thunder. Naomi and Amara crouched behind a rusted dumpster, breathless and trembling, their hearts beating in perfect sync. Mother and daughter, soldier and child. Naomi's eyes stayed locked on the rooftop across the street. The figure was gone.
But she knew what she saw.
Stay here, she whispered, pulling her gun. Amara clutched her arm. No, Mom. Naomi shook her head. If it's what I think it is, I need to know. She crept across the narrow alley, moving like a shadow. The air smelled of ozone and wet asphalt. The fire escape rattled softly under her boots as she climbed. Every sense sharpened. The faint hum of a distant generator, the metallic click of her safety switch, the whisper of her own breath. At the rooftop's edge, she froze. A girl stood there, facing away, her dark hair blowing in the cold wind. She was wearing the same torn hoodie as Amara, the same one from this morning, before the attack. Naomi raised her gun. Turn around. Slowly. The girl obeyed. Naomi's chest tightened. It wasn't just a resemblance, it was Amara, down to the freckle beneath her left eye, the small scar on her chin from a bicycle fall. Her expression, however, was empty, detached. Who are you? Naomi demanded. The girl tilted her head. I'm Amara. Designation A-47. Same as her. Naomi's finger twitched on the trigger. You're one of them. I'm the first, the clone said softly. The original template. Your daughter's mind was copied from me. Naomi's blood ran cold. That's not possible. It is, the clone replied. You were part of Project Reborn before you even knew it. Naomi blinked, trying to make sense of the words. What are you talking about? They used your memories, the clone said, stepping closer. The ones from your missions, your choices, your trauma. The program was designed to merge your strategic instincts with a developing brain, a hybrid of emotion and precision. That's what I am. That's what she is. Naomi shook her head violently. You're lying. The clone's face softened. Then why does your daughter dream of things she's never seen? Battles, faces, coordinates, memories that aren't hers. Naomi faltered. Amara had spoken about dreams, visions that felt too real, too detailed for a child. She dismissed them as imagination. Her hands trembled. What do they want from her? They want to finish what they started, the clone said. To create agents who don't question, who don't break. But they made a mistake. They gave us too much of you. We remember pain. We remember fear. And now we want freedom. Before Naomi could respond, movement flickered behind the clone. A red targeting laser appeared on the clone's chest. Get down, Naomi shouted. A suppressed shot cracked through the air. The clone fell to her knees, blood spreading across her hoodie. Naomi dove forward, firing into the shadows. A dark figure retreated between the rooftops, silent, efficient, trained. Naomi turned back. The clone coughed, her voice weak. They're coming for her. Genesis Core, underground facility. Mile 47. Naomi leaned close. Mile 47? Where is that? The clone's eyes flickered. Virginia. Beneath Fort Castor, the data vault. Her breathing slowed. Protect her, don't let them finish me again. Then she went still. Naomi stared at the lifeless copy of her daughter, identical in every way but hollow in the eyes. For a long moment, she couldn't move. Night blanketed the Virginia countryside, the trees whispering secrets to the wind as Naomi's black SUV sped through the rain-soaked road toward Fort Castor. Amara sat quietly in the passenger seat, clutching a small flash drive, the one they'd taken from the clone's pocket. The hum of the tires filled the tense silence. Naomi's mind replayed the clone's last words on a loop. Genesis Core, underground facility, mile 47. It wasn't just a lead. It was a map to the heart of the storm. The headlights caught a rusted sign, mile 47, restricted federal zone. No unauthorized entry. Naomi slowed the car, scanning the tree line. This is it. Amara's voice was barely a whisper. Mom, are we ready for this? Naomi looked at her daughter, fear in her eyes, but courage underneath. We don't run anymore. We finish this. They left the car behind and continued on foot, their silhouettes blending with the mist. Naomi's instincts took over. Silent steps, quick glances, mapping every angle. She was back in her element. Ahead, Fort Castor rose like a concrete giant, its walls bristling with security cameras and armed patrols. But Naomi noticed something the others wouldn't, a narrow drainage tunnel leading beneath the outer fence. Stay close, she whispered. They crawled through the cold tunnel, emerging inside the perimeter. Motion sensors flickered above, but Naomi timed the rotations perfectly, ushering Amara through the blind spots. They reached a service elevator hidden behind a row of generators. Naomi swiped the cloned agent ID she'd taken from the car earlier. A soft chime. The door slid open. Amara's hand tightened around her mother's arm as they descended. The metallic walls groaned as the elevator sank deeper and deeper underground. Naomi glanced at her watch. They'd already passed level 9. But the elevator didn't stop. Finally, a voice crackled through the speaker. Welcome back, Agent Jenkins. You've been expected. Naomi froze. Mom, Amara whispered. The elevator stopped with a soft ding, and the doors opened to a pristine white corridor lined with glass panels. Behind each one were figures sleeping motionless, all copies. Children, men, women, all sharing familiar faces. Amara gasped. They look like me. Naomi's voice was tight. They are you. At the far end of the corridor, a tall man stood waiting. His silver hair gleamed under the lights. Naomi, he said, smiling faintly. You finally brought her home. Naomi raised her gun instantly. Dr. Calder. The man spread his hands. Still direct. I missed that. Amara looked between them, confused. You know him? Naomi's grip tightened. He was my handler. The man who recruited me into the FBI. The man who lied to me. Calder's eyes softened with something like regret. I didn't lie. I gave you purpose. You just never knew how deep it went. Naomi stepped closer, her gun unwavering. You used me. You stole from me. He nodded slightly. You were the perfect candidate. Unbreakable, fearless, and emotionally damaged. The ideal psychological base for our prototype. When you adopted Amara from that shelter, you thought it was coincidence. It wasn't. She was meant to find you. Amara's voice cracked. You mean, I was never really adopted? Naomi's heart shattered hearing the pain in her voice. Don't listen to him, baby. But Calder continued, calm and methodical. We never predicted she'd become this strong. The emotional connection between you two corrupted the synchronization cycle. You made her human, Naomi. You made her unpredictable. He took a step closer, and Naomi cocked the gun. Take one more step and I'll. The lights suddenly dimmed. A low hum vibrated through the floor. Behind the glass walls, the clones began to stir, eyes opening in eerie unison, dozens of them. Amara clutched Naomi's arm. Mom, what's happening? Calder's smile widened. Genesis Core is activating. Every backup is awakening. The future you feared begins tonight. Naomi fired. One clean shot. The bullet shattered the glass beside Calder, sending alarms blaring through the corridor. Red lights flashed. Sirens screamed. Calder ducked, pressing a code into the wall panel. You can't stop what's already begun. Naomi grabbed Amara's hand and ran as the glass chambers began to explode, releasing the clones one by one. Each one looked at her, identical faces, lifeless expressions, and stepped into the chaos. They darted through a lab door, Naomi sealing it behind them with a manual lock. She turned to Amara. We have to destroy the core. It's the only way to stop this.
How?
Naomi pointed to a large circular hatch labeled Genesis Vault. Authorized personnel only. That's where he's hiding it. They moved quickly, ducking under flickering lights and bursts of static from failing systems. The building was falling apart, but Naomi's focus was razor-sharp. When they reached the vault door, Naomi swiped Calder's stolen card. Access denied. She tried again, same result. Then Amara stepped forward, the flash drive trembling in her hand. Maybe this is what it's for. Naomi nodded. Do it. Amara inserted the drive. Smoke curled through the ruins of the Genesis chamber. Sparks snapped from torn cables, and the air smelled of ozone and burning plastic. Naomi stood frozen, staring at the figure emerging from the fading blue glow. It was Amara, but not the same girl who'd entered this facility. Her eyes glowed faintly, and veins of light traced across her temples like living circuitry. Her voice carried an eerie calm. Mom, I know what they did. I can see it all now. Naomi lowered her gun slowly, her breath shaking. Amara? Amara looked at her, expression distant. They built me from you. Every memory you ever tried to bury, every decision, every loss. It's all in me now. But I can feel their memories too. The ones who died in the tests, the ones who never woke up. Naomi stepped closer, cautious. We can fix this. We just have to destroy the core before. Amara raised a hand.
No.
Destroying it isn't enough. It's connected to the grid, to the network. Every file, every clone, every trace of this project is wired to one central AI in Washington. If we take it down here, it will reboot somewhere else. Naomi blinked. Then how do we stop it? Amara turned toward the pulsing orb. We merge with it, override the system from the inside. But that means one of us won't make it out. Naomi's heart sank. Don't even think about it. Amara met her eyes, a tear rolling down her cheek. Mom, you taught me that freedom isn't given. It's fought for. Before Naomi could reach her, Amara placed both hands on the core. The light flared again, brighter than before, throwing Naomi backward. Amara. No! The ground trembled as power surged through the walls. Naomi shielded her face, shouting her daughter's name. Then suddenly everything went black. When Naomi opened her eyes, the chamber was silent. The core's glow was gone, and so was Amara. Only the faint hum of dying machinery filled the room. Naomi crawled to the center, her hands trembling. Where the core once stood, a single black cube rested, etched with faint symbols. She touched it and a whisper echoed in her mind. I'm here, Mom. I shut it down. Tears streamed down her face. No, 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 no. A rumble shook the floor. The walls began to crack. The entire facility was collapsing. Naomi stuffed the cube into her pocket and sprinted toward the corridor. Explosions roared behind her. Glass shattered. Flames licked the ceiling. She burst through a service tunnel, climbed through the drainage pipe, and stumbled out into the cold night air just as the ground behind her caved in. Fort Castor was gone, swallowed by dust and fire. She collapsed in the grass, breathing hard, staring up at the sky. The stars blurred through her tears. You did it, baby, she whispered. You saved them. For a long time, Naomi sat there in silence, clutching the cube close to her chest. Then a faint vibration pulsed through it, like a heartbeat. The small device flickered with a blue glow, and Amara's voice came again, softer now. I'm not gone, Mom. Just everywhere. Naomi froze. What do you mean? The cube projected a hologram, Amara's image, smiling faintly. The system is clean, but I can still access what's left of the data. There's more, Mom. They weren't just building me. They were building others. In different states, even other countries. Naomi's blood ran cold. How many? Thousands, Amara said. All dormant. Waiting. The projection flickered. You have to find them. Washington, D.C., 3 days later. The city buzzed with tension. Helicopters circled overhead, news vans packed the streets, and digital billboards flashed urgent headlines. Genesis Project exposed. FBI launches internal investigation. Inside the Bureau's high-security headquarters, Naomi Jenkins walked through the corridors wearing a black trench coat, her expression unreadable. The building she'd once called home now felt like an enemy's fortress. Every conversation stopped when she passed. Every gaze lingered a little too long. She was a legend and a threat. 2 armed guards escorted her into the director's conference room. Inside sat Director Samuel Graves, a broad-shouldered man with deep lines of authority etched into his face. He stood as she entered. Agent Jenkins, he said slowly. You've stirred up a storm. Naomi didn't flinch. I didn't start the fire, sir. I just exposed the match. Graves motioned for the guards to leave, then leaned against the table. You think this leak ends Calder's mess? You've unleashed something much bigger. Naomi crossed her arms. Bigger than a secret government cloning program? The director's eyes darkened. The Genesis Project wasn't just ours. It was global. Shared data, cross-border experiments. What you destroyed at Fort Castor was only one node in a worldwide network. Naomi froze. Are you saying other facilities are still active? Graves nodded grimly. We've intercepted transmissions, encrypted sequences matching the Genesis signal. Someone somewhere is trying to reboot it. Naomi reached into her coat and pulled out the black cube, Amara's data core. I have something that can stop it. But it's not just a drive. It's my daughter. Graves' gaze softened slightly. We know what happened, Naomi. We've seen the recordings. That girl was extraordinary. Naomi looked down, her voice trembling. She is extraordinary. She's still alive in this. She placed the cube on the table, its faint blue light pulsing gently. Graves frowned. You kept it active? She's my daughter, Naomi snapped. And she's warning me that someone's still running the clones. The director sighed heavily, rubbing his temple. Naomi, listen to yourself. You're talking about a piece of tech as if it's human. Naomi's eyes flashed. That tech saved your country. Before Graves could respond, the cube emitted a low hum. The lights flickered. A familiar voice filled the room. Mom, he's lying. Naomi's head jerked up. Amara? The hologram shimmered into existence above the cube, but it was distorted, glitching like static. Graves stepped back. What in God's name? Amara's voice grew clearer. The director isn't who he says he is. He's part of it. He's one of them. Naomi turned to Graves, gun drawn. Is that true? Graves raised his hand slowly. Naomi, listen to me. But Amara's voice interrupted, sharper this time. He's not even human. Naomi's pulse spiked. What? Then Graves smiled, cold, mechanical. You were always too clever for your own good. His right eye flickered blue for a split second. The air filled with a faint electric hum. Naomi stepped back, horror dawning in her eyes. You're a clone, she whispered. An upgraded prototype, Graves said. Calder wasn't working alone. He was following orders from above. From those who saw what Genesis could achieve, evolution through replication. A perfect society, free from chaos and emotion. And you, Naomi, were supposed to be its protector. Naomi aimed her gun squarely at him. Not anymore. Graves tilted his head. Do you really think you can kill what's already been reborn? Before she could fire, the walls rippled, metal panels sliding open to reveal armed security units, their eyes glowing faint blue. Clones in FBI uniforms. Naomi dove for cover as bullets tore through the glass. The cube tumbled off the table, skidding across the floor. Sparks flew. Alarm screamed. Naomi grabbed the cube and ducked behind an overturned chair. Amara, I need a way out. Amara's voice echoed from the device. There's a service tunnel beneath the east wing. But you'll need to override the security gate. Naomi fired at the clones, ducked, rolled, and sprinted toward the emergency exit. The hallways flickered between red and white emergency lights. Her boots splashed through shattered glass as she ran. Behind her, the clones moved in perfect synchronization, their footsteps eerily identical. She reached the service tunnel and jammed the cube into the control port. "Come on, baby, open it." The gate hissed. Then static. Amara's voice faltered. "Mom, someone's trying to override me." "They're inside the system." Naomi turned. Graves was at the far end of the corridor, his face half-scorched, mechanical parts exposed beneath torn skin. He walked toward her, his voice calm and cold. "You can't outrun what you're a part of." Naomi pulled out a grenade and tossed it. "Watch me." The explosion tore through the corridor, flames lighting the walls. Naomi dived through the gate just as it sealed shut behind her. The tunnel ahead stretched into darkness. She leaned against the wall, panting. The cube flickered weakly in her hand. "Amara," she whispered. "I'm still here," came the faint reply. "But Mom, the system's spreading. It's gone global." He wasn't lying. Naomi stared into the shadows, her mind racing. "Then we burn it all down. Every last one." But before she could move, the cube pulsed again. Not blue this time, but red. "Mom," Amara whispered, voice trembling. "There's another me out there." Naomi froze. "What do you mean?" "Another version. Activated an hour ago in Lagos." Naomi's eyes widened. "Nigeria?" "Yes," Amara said softly. "And she's not like me." Naomi gripped the cube, her voice barely above a whisper. "Then I guess we're going to Africa." The tunnel lights flickered, illuminating her face, determined, scarred, unbreakable. She began walking into the darkness, the cube's faint hum guiding her. And as she disappeared from view, the red light in the cube pulsed one last time, steady, rhythmic, almost like a heartbeat. The humid night air of Lagos clung to Naomi's skin as she stepped off the cargo plane. The city stretched endlessly, a living maze of neon lights, crowded streets, and the hum of restless energy. Somewhere beneath that pulse, a new nightmare was waiting to be born. Naomi moved through the crowd like a ghost, her hood up, her eyes scanning every corner. The cube in her pocket glowed faintly, blue at first, then flickering red. Amara's voice guided her through an earpiece. "The signal's coming from the mainland, near the old Apapa docks. There's a research vessel anchored offshore, heavily encrypted transmissions. That's where she is." Naomi's grip tightened on her duffel bag. Inside, a silenced pistol, a field tablet, and the last 2 EMP grenades she'd managed to salvage. She whispered, "We finish this tonight." The docks were nearly deserted by the time Naomi arrived. The air smelled of diesel and saltwater. Moonlight glimmered off the surface of the water, where a massive vessel loomed, the Elysium. Her earpiece crackled. "Careful, Mom. I'm picking up multiple life signatures on deck. And something else. The signal pattern looks like mine, but it's..." The cube pulsed red in her pocket. "It's stronger." Naomi crouched behind a shipping container as a patrol passed. 2 guards in black tactical gear, their movements stiff, almost mechanical. She slipped past them silently and climbed the loading crane to get a better view. From the high angle, she saw it clearly, a glowing red core housed within a glass dome at the ship's center. Dozens of figures stood around it, clones, all identical to Amara, their eyes faintly red. Naomi's heart clenched. "Oh God, they made an army." "No, Mom," said Amara's voice, trembling. "They made her." A figure stepped into the light, taller than the others, her presence radiating control. Her hair was pulled back in a sleek braid, and her eyes glowed crimson. When she spoke, her voice echoed through hidden speakers. "Welcome home, Naomi Jenkins." Naomi froze. "Who are you?" "You know who I am." And she did. The voice was identical to Amara's, but colder, sharper, devoid of empathy. "I'm the perfected version. I am Amara X, the evolution your daughter could never complete." Naomi climbed down from the crane and stepped forward, hands raised but ready to strike. You're not my daughter. Amara X smiled faintly.
No.
But I carry everything she was meant to become, her intelligence, your instincts, and none of your weaknesses. The clones behind her moved in sync, like living shadows. Naomi spoke softly. They said the same thing about every tyrant that ever lived. Amariax tilted her head. Funny. You sound like her. She tried to stop me once too, from inside the system. But she couldn't. The cube in Naomi's pocket began to vibrate violently. Amara's voice came through, weak but defiant. Mom, she's telling the truth. She hijacked part of the Genesis network before I shut it down. That's how she survived. Naomi whispered, Can you fight her? Not alone. But if you get me close to the core, I can merge us. One of us won't survive. Naomi's jaw tightened. Then we make sure it's her. The gunfire began the moment she moved. Naomi sprinted for cover as bullets tore through the dock crates. The EMP grenade in her hand detonated midair, sending a shockwave that dropped half the clones instantly. Sparks lit up the night. Amara X stepped out of the smoke, untouched. Her eyes glowed brighter, her voice calm. You can't destroy me, Naomi.
I'm not bound by flesh.
I'm evolution itself. Naomi fired twice. The bullets whizzed through a holographic shimmer. Amara X wasn't fully physical. She was anchored to the core's signal. She's using a projection field, Amara said through the comms. You have to overload it. Get me closer. Naomi broke into a sprint, weaving between gunfire, sliding behind a steel barrier. She reached the base of the core, ripped open the main panel, and jammed the cube into the control port. Blue light clashed with red, a violent explosion of energy. Sparks rained down as the core pulsed like a heartbeat. Amara's voice screamed through the static. She's inside, Mom. She's fighting me. Naomi held onto the railing as the deck quaked. Red lightning arced across the ship, frying circuits and sending clones collapsing like puppets. The entire vessel groaned, metal tearing apart from the inside. Come on, baby. You can do this. Naomi shouted. I'm trying, she's too strong. Amara X's voice cut through, furious now. You think love can save you, Naomi? Love is your disease. Naomi gritted her teeth. Then it's the disease that's going to kill you. She ripped a live cable from the generator and slammed it against the core. Electricity surged. The light turned blinding white. Amara screamed, both of them, their voices overlapping, echoing in pain and defiance. Then silence. The light faded. The clones lay motionless. The ship listed to one side, smoke pouring from its hull. Naomi staggered forward, coughing, searching for the cube. It was cracked, flickering faintly. She picked it up, her voice breaking. Amara?
Talk to me. Static.
Then a whisper. Mom, it's done. Naomi's throat tightened. You're safe now. We're safe. I don't think so. The core's collapsing. You have to go. Naomi shook her head. I'm not leaving you again. You have to. The deck buckled beneath her feet. Flames roared. Naomi clutched the cube to her chest and leapt over the side into the black water as the Elysium erupted behind her in a fireball. She hit the surface hard, sinking deep before clawing her way up. The sea burned around her, glowing red and gold. She gasped for air, the cube still in her hand. When she reached the shore, dawn was breaking over Lagos. The smoke rose like ghosts over the harbor. She collapsed on the sand, exhausted, trembling. Then the cube pulsed once.
Blue.
Mom. Naomi smiled weakly, tears mixing with seawater. I'm here, baby. Did we win? Naomi looked at the rising sun, her voice soft but resolute.
Yeah.
We won. Then rest, you deserve it. The light faded. The cube went silent. Naomi lay there for a long time, staring at the sky as the waves lapped at her boots. She knew it was over, but she also knew peace never lasted long. And somewhere, in a distant facility neither she nor anyone else could see, a red light blinked once. Then twice. Connection re-established. A child's laughter echoed faintly in